Hey, everybody, it's me, back with the next one. I'm just moving right along because these have been kind of pumping these out. If I could get this done tonight so I could move on, because it's Saturday night, if I were to get through all of this and start the next phase on a Sunday, right? New week, new project, that would be pretty cool. All right, so this is another set, number seven, another long one. Oh, this is a good one. We're finally at Ellen's Game of Games. Okay, last night we watched Ellen DeGeneres' game show, Game of Games, and it was quite good. It's like if Nickelodeon, oh, excuse me, it's like if Nickelodeon produced a version of Price is Right that involves trivia instead of guessing the price of rice-a-roni. It's a San Francisco treat, ding ding. And instead of a soundstage, it takes place at a state-of-the-art carnival. It includes some of Ellen's classic games like blindfolded musical chairs and features hot hands from her app game as the grand finale. Hashtag not sponsored. There were four episodes available on Hulu. I think it was a special too. It was always supposed to be like kind of a mini, um, we call it mini series, but like some kind of little like short term situation, right? It was never supposed to be like a weekly episodic show. Okay, anywho, there were four episodes available on Hulu, and we just watched all four back to back. Over the course of the night, I was able to correctly answer at least 90% of the questions. Not only, and this is another one of those things that people are like, like, no, seriously, like on a lot of these, like, it's not Jeopardy. And the whole point, too, was like, because, and especially with these, like, little one-off, like, short, like, specials, people were, like, the goal was that people were winning the prizes. So they weren't trying to be difficult, too. So I just want to put that out there. This is not, it was supposed to be the sort of thing that any average person would be able to get this much right also, okay? So like I said, don't it's no flex, right? It's not a flex to say that that's how many I could get right. I think like I said, most average American people should have been able to get 90% of the questions right. Not only did he not get a single answer right, he also seemed to have trouble even parsing the questions, despite the fact that in many instances the question was displayed on the screen. For instance, one of the games involved pairs of contestants who are related to each other in some way spouses, parent child, best friends, etc., with one half of the pair suspended in the air to answer the prompts with the threat of being dunked in slimy goop, and the other half safely on the ground tasked with wagering how well their partner would be able to answer the prompt. The goal was for the partner to successfully match the wager. It's kind of like spades, right? So, okay. The prompts were listing items that corresponded to a category, brands of tequila, brands of toothpaste, continents and oceans, that sort of thing. As the contestant was answering the prompts, their answers would appear in an on screen display that also indicated how many more they had to name in order to be successful. I mean, so like take it as like if it was continents, there's only seven continents, right? So like let's say they guess that their partner would be able to get four. But what they would put on the screen every time they named a continent, they would put the word on the screen. They didn't like put up the seven continents to have and then tick them off, right? Or whatever. And then of course for things like brand of toothpaste, that's a little bit more nebulous, right? So they would, but as people were naming things, the answers then were popping up on the screen. Similar to what happens when we would watch Wheel of Fortune, during which he waits a beat after I've solved the puzzle to announce the answer as though he just thought of it. He read the answers the contestant had already asserted off of the screen display as though he was coming up with them along with them. He did this in plain sight. And like I said before, right? I think he thinks I'm blind. I think he thinks I'm actually fucking blind. The more that I'm reading these, the more I'm like, no, dude, I think he actually thought I was fucking blind. What the fuck? I really think maybe he genuinely thought that I had trouble seeing. That's why he would insist on helping me across the street and shit. These people actually thought I was fucking blind, which is funny because since my backpack was robbed on August 20th while I was waiting for the bus, and somebody rode by and just flew off with it, whatever. All of my glasses are in there, so ever since, because I've just been too lazy to get them replaced, I am actually like I have like 2,300 vision. So now when I'm reading these, I'm thinking to I'm like, he thought I was actually like visually impaired. Like I wore glasses, but it was still hard for me to see. That's why he would insist like use the magnifying glass or like this, that, and the other, or like, why aren't you watching the movie? Or like he's thinking I can't see what's literally going on in real life. Okay, now this is funny. The funny, like funny strange, because the college roommate that's my other subject of the book about my thesis about narcissistic personality disorder, she seemed to think that I needed help getting in shape. So like at the time that when she met me in January of 2009, I had actually like lost a bunch of weight. I was down to maybe like a size 16 or whatever and was in good shape and all this. And she'd be like, let's do this workout tape. And then we do the workout DVD and she couldn't keep up with me. Right? And then be like, let's get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and go to the gym. And we'd get up and go to the gym. You know, I mean, and it was just like, girl, I don't like, it's kind of a, she needs help losing the weight. So like going back to the Fight Club, the conspiracy theory angle, right? So she was told I needed help losing weight. He was told I can't see what's going on around me. Um, and then what was, I had another, um, oh, so another thing, so I'm putting my hair back up into a ponytail and being like, wow, I'm getting really familiar with just like talking to myself out here in public. Um, but basically, um, that if I don't even know what's going on, I can't quit, right? It'd be kind of like not having a safe word. Or if you've watched the movie Labyrinth, I think I've mentioned this before, right? That like that, you know, the say your right words, where she has to say, I wish the Goblin King would come and take you away right now, right? She has to say the phrase, right? On the show The Silo, if you say, I want to leave the silo, you get put the fuck out the silo, right? It's like the thing you don't say, right? I don't know what it is, right? So, but when they're telling like, oh my God, she's just such a badass, she just doesn't know how to quit. They literally mean that shit. I don't know how. I would love to, but I don't know how. I don't know how to get out of their bullshit. I don't even know for sure the bullshit exists. It's fucking crazy, right? Like, who does this to somebody? Okay, anyway, back into this. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again because I've been down so many times. It's why I haven't been recording and uploading because I've actually kind of been going through it. Like I cried myself to sleep the other night and woke up with a fucking headache, and I hate that. So I'm like, dude, I'm trying. Like I said, at this point, I'm just to just keep doing what you're doing because you don't have anything else left. Whatever. Anyway. Why would someone who lives and dies by Colgate toothpaste start out by guessing Aquafresh and Polident, the two brands displayed top center in the list display, and neglect completely his own brand of toothpaste? That's kind of funny, toothpaste. And toothpaste by the time it was said and done, right? So, like, he uses Colgate. If somebody asks you to name brands of toothpaste, wouldn't you name your own brand of toothpaste? Like this man was devoted to Colgate like he owned stock in the bitch, okay? Like, but didn't say it once because he just kept repeating the shit that was already on the screen. But like maybe he thought that he needed to read it to me. I don't know. You know what Fucking jackass. Okay. Two more incidents during this were memorable the next morning. The first wasn't so bad, considering the contestant also seemed to have trouble grasping the meaning of the question, but his answer was so bizarrely off base, it's worth repeating. So the question was, where did the NBA basketball team Supersonics come from? Me, Seattle. Contestant, nothing. Me, Seattle. Him, Jazz. Contestant, nothing. Him, Jazz, Jazz, and then finally me and Ellen, Seattle. So, like I said, the question is a little awkward if you don't know basketball very well, I guess. I had to look up the details of the following, and I'll grant that this is being a little nitpicky, but humor me. I can understand the confused contestant misunderstanding the question, but at least her answers made sense as to how someone inexperienced might interpret the question. This is funny. I don't even, wait, what? Okay. This is about, I don't have anything. Maybe I was going to go back and add it. Oh, man. Okay, I have Hulu right now. This is kind of weirdly auspicious. See, this is the shit I'm talking about. I've been binging game shows on Hulu for the last few days. And now I can actually go fill in this blank because the contestant must have been saying something. Oh, ooh la la, the plot thickens. Okay. Ooh, ooh. All right, anyway. This doesn't matter. We're just keep moving along. Okay, I can understand the confused contestant misunderstanding the question, but at least her answers made sense as to how someone inexperienced might interpret the question. Okay, I said, yeah, because like, where did the NBA? Because it's like instead of where does the NBA basketball team Supersonics come from? I think she did say where did they come from? So it's like, well, okay, what? Anyway, it stands to reason that anyone who knows that the Jazz even are a basketball team at all would know that the Jazz have always been the Jazz since their inception in 1974. Though they moved from New Orleans, Nolens to Utah just by it even I don't know, it hurts to say New Orleans. Like that's I don't know. I feel like that's just hard to say. Nolens just rolls off the tongue. New Orleans takes like a strange amount of effort. It's like trying to bend your arm the wrong way. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so though they moved from Nolens to Utah just 5 years later, in what must have been the most what the fuck move in sports, I can't believe they didn't change the name from Jazz to something with more local flavor like Swingers or Dunkers. Hell, Dunkers would have been damn appropriate. Anyway, the Supersonics were formed almost a decade earlier in 1967 and moved to Oklahoma City and changed names in 2008. They were the Seattle Supersonics for 40 years and ceased to be the Supersonics when they moved. Even now, I'm like, oh fuck, really? Like I don't follow that. It's funny because playing basketball was fun in like junior high and high school. My brother always liked playing basketball. It was fun to go to the game, yada yada yada, right? But it's just never been a sport that I get into that much. So like I don't know that I would even be able to name every team in the NBA if I were prompted with the city. Right? I would have no idea. If I think if somebody walked up and was like, "I'll give you $1 million, true or false, the Seattle Supersonics moved to Oklahoma City," I would slap their face. This is wild to me. Okay. The Jazz have always been the Jazz, and for all intents and purposes, they have been the Utah Jazz for just as long at this point in history. All of these events occurred during his cognizant lifetime. Right? He was born in like 1954, so even when Seattle Supersonics came on board, he was a fucking teenager. He was 13 years old. Like it's kind of it would be realistic to assume he remembers this, right? So anyway, and like I said, now the question makes sense because I had no idea they moved. I was like, that's a weird way to say it, but now it's like, where did the Supersonics come from? They came from Seattle. Okay, well that's kind of fun. Yeah, so all of these events occurred during his cognizant lifetime, and as far as sports are concerned, we probably have an equivalent lack of interest in basketball. So, conclusion, if I know the answer, he sure as hell should have known the answer. I can see where you would think the question indicated that the Supersonics came from another team, but why the Jazz? The better question is probably, and why so confident? Like, he was confident. The Jazz, it's the Jazz. Like, he literally thought he fucking knew this shit. Which is kind of because then if you think about it with all of this hmm, I don't know, like when I say like the fight clubbing conspiracy theory communicative stuff, maybe that's what he thought this was an opportunity to be driving at. So it'll be interesting to go back and rewatch this and see what the contestant was saying as an answer to this. Hmm. This is kind of funny too because now and I'm for some reason over the last couple of weeks, because you know how TikTok likes to just suggest random shit, right? So like ever since over like the last couple of weeks, I think it started with Ellen, the whole move to UK news story. TikTok suggests to me every time she posts a new TikTok. And I don't know, and I haven't known why. This is weird. Okay, so like, because I've long thought that my phone is bricked, and that stuff that I post and whatever doesn't even get out to people. That's why, like, doing this almost, I feel like an odd safety net to it, because I don't think anybody even sees the shit I post. I don't, I literally think that I have some sort of bizarre ass fence around everything I fucking do. Um, but it is what it is because it's like that's when it starts getting into territory where I'm like I feel like that sounds so nuts, but then I remember that it's literally like a pseudo like meme type joke to like say hi to your like CIA boyfriend who like watches you through your webcam, right? That it's like that's the sort of shit I'm talking about, right? So it's like if people can find that funny, then I can hypothesize that I think everything I do is on some sort of weird ass like local area network or on a VPN that prevents me from actually reaching the real internet. But it is what it is. Like I said, it's a conspiracy theory. Okay, so I'm reaching here, but in the moment it was really funny. I don't think I'm reaching at all. That's what they said. Like, I don't think I am. I think it would be completely reasonable to assume that he would actually know the answer to that question, and at the very least, not be so confident in the wrong answer. Right? So like either he's either completely fucking nuts or he's up to something. I guess what I'm hung up on is how did a team that is now defunct come from a team that still exists? Like, why would they go from jazz to supersonics then back to jazz? Jazz has to do with sound, so I can see the conceptual connection between jazz and sonics. I also see, perhaps most importantly, the connection to his favorite football game, the LA Rams. They started as the Los Angeles Rams, then moved to St. Louis for 20 years, and then moved back to Los Angeles in 2016. It's as if, inside his mind, the garbledness of knowledge that he has gathered over the years was taken as relevant context for determining the answer to a trivia question on a national television show. I'm not even going to pretend to know what I'm really talking about there. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not even entirely sure what I'm trying to get anymore. There, okay. Like I said, suffice it to say that at the time it was funny strange. Moving on. The other incident that was strange and comical was when the prompt for a merry-go-round naming game, you know, the kind where each player names something that suits the prompt and the goal is to come up with a unique response before the time runs out, was states with two-word names, to which he kept blurting out cities. As contestants and I were throwing out names like New Mexico and West Virginia, he was steady shouting Las Vegas and San Diego until I pointed out that the prompt was for states. He stared blankly at me for a few moments before he said, "Yeah?" Pregnant pause. Well, the game was over, and I think he was finally starting to understand that he's not the intellectual whippersnapper that he likes to think he is. That night was a great opportunity to see where he stacks up intellectually against myself and several randomly selected contestants in various trivial scenarios, right? So, like, various types of questions, all of them being of, like I said, of a difficulty because the intention was for the people playing the game to be able to win it, right? It's like they're not it's not supposed to be it's not Jeopardy or anything like that. It's the point was for people to be able to score the points. Overall, I would have to say that his performance was definitely below average. In keeping with the same line of thinking as the supersonic slash jazz conundrum is the fact that he alleges that he lived in North Carolina for 6 years. So, given the opportunity to name his own brand of toothpaste and a state in which he has lived as correct responses to prompts, he was unable to do so, but instead was adamant about an answer because of tangentially related self aggrandizing evidence. Very interesting. I hope you're all taking notes. I don't know what they're listening to, and I'm sure it didn't come through on the recording either, but that was funny. This car driving by, whatever they were listening to really loud, it was just like like a Star Wars stun gun war kind of sound effect. It was weird. The next evening, he had a shift downstairs, and when he returned, I was in the middle of cooking dinner. As usual, he came bursting through the door, whooping, and came into the kitchen to unpack his snack bag. He told me that some of the people downstairs were talking about watching the Ellen Gaines show too, and that most of them said that they weren't able to answer any of the questions either. I mentioned that I knew about 90% of the answers, and his response was that the questions were geared more toward my generation than theirs, which is complete bullshit. I nodded in agreement while keeping it to myself that the questions included things like what was Buzz Aldrin's mother's maiden name? That's true. And who starred in the Christmas classic It's a Wonderful Life, not to mention the aforementioned questions, as well as general life knowledge such as what will you likely eat 35,000 of in your life? Cookies, loaves of bread, or spiders, and obscure trivia like how many teeth does a snail have that no one is actually expected to know. There didn't seem to be much bias one way or the other, and to be completely frank, I can't imagine that in this day and age of inclusivity and considering the political demographic of the producer and hostess, that steps weren't taken to assure a lack of said bias. So chalk it up to a heap of bullshit aimed at saving face in light of his abysmal performance. But I think that was bullshit. He just made that up. Oh yeah, everybody was watching it and they didn't know really any of these answers either. It's you only knew all of that stuff because of your generation, right? It's biased in favor. But I thought about this before too. Whatever the end game of all of this crap is, it's going to come down to my knowledge of my own experiences. So anywho, so meaning like if you've ever watched the show The Mole, and how, and I think I've mentioned this before too, that on the mole, the way that people are um, get out of the game, right? It's like the whole goal is to figure out who the mole is. And then at the end of every episode or every like whatever round of playing games, doing whatever, at the end of every episode at least, everybody would take a quiz and it was 10 questions about the identity of the mole. And whoever did the worst on the quiz was the player that was eliminated. But if you were the mole, you would know all of the answers to all of the questions because they were just about you, right? So that it's like whatever is going on in this game, it's kind of like Cinderella, right? Everybody's trying to ram their foot into my glass slipper. And when everything finally comes to pass and comes to fruition, all I have to do is prove that I can get my foot in the shoe, right? All I'm going to have to do, right? It's kind of like, too, I was thinking about like trying to guess a password or whatever that like usually people have security questions, right? Like, surely you should know the answer to your security questions because you know where you were born and what your mom's maiden name was, and your father's middle name, and the town. You know what I mean? You should know the answers to your security questions, right? So that it's like in the end, if it comes down to whether or not I can actually like unlock the door to the fight club, so to speak, it will only come down to whether or not I can answer the security questions to change the password. But just saying, that's my little hypothesis here, right? And stuff, and that a lot of stuff that I've experienced has been set up in order to generate varying situations or degrees or whatever you call it of opportunities for people to try to guess the answers correctly, right? It's, I don't know. Like I said, I don't feel like I have enough information about what was ever going on to really have, I don't have enough information to make a good guess about the objectivity of things, but the subjectivity seems pretty fucking clear. Right. And everything, and a lot of it is just guessing what's going on. And like I said multiple times before, I don't appreciate it. I don't think it's challenging or fun or interesting. It's just really fucking irritating and uncalled for. I think it's a nasty, vile, perverse thing to have done to somebody. It's not cute. It's not fun or funny, or I just don't see that it has any redeeming quality or value. None whatsoever. And yeah, so fine. With all of this, it's literally on record. On record today. It is 7:23 p.m. on February. It is 7:23 p.m. on February 15th, 2025. And like just putting my foot down, hands down, period, judgment call. I don't care what this was for, where this is going, what it is, who did it, what the point was, or what eventually comes of it. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. I never would have consented to this shit. I confidently rebuke every fucking body that's been involved in it for every fucking reason, and I just don't fucking care. And like I said before, I'm going back to positive thoughts, so I'm going to end this on that note and then change my attitude and move into the next one. And hopefully it's funny and I can get my mind back on an emotional track I actually want to fucking be on. Because thinking about this shit pisses me the fuck off.